What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Friday, December 15th, 2023. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil. Phil, I'm back to full strength. I no longer have a headache. Man, was that Monday show rough to get through, but I'm back. I'm locked and loaded, ready to go, and my head does not feel like it's going to fall off my body.
Now we know what it takes to get a really short episode, because other than that, I mean, you and I talk about it all the time, that we look at what we have to talk about that day. We say, you know, there's not a lot to talk about. It'll probably be a quick episode, and then they usually end up being our longer episodes in general. So now we know what it actually takes to have a short episode. PK's not feeling good. He wants to get off the microphone.
Yeah, it just has to make me feel like death. And then even when we're done recording and I hit stop, I'm like, oh, God. Now I got a half an hour of editing to do, and then I got to post it and all that other fun stuff. But, yeah, that's done and over with, and we had a great time and good feedback on the episode. So, yay for us. So we'll dive into this one. Remember, you can follow us Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com, and look for the time breakdowns of this show in the description of the show. So, Phil, we'll start with the Buffalo Bills. They got their much-needed, must-win victory last week. I know on the episode we kind of made it quicker, more because it was a rapid reaction. I went on Talking Buffalo on Monday night, and it came out on Tuesday if you didn't watch it live. But we talked more about how I don't think we really appreciated what they were able to accomplish last Sunday. But that's over and done with. And they're looking forward to the Cowboys, another 4:25 game. So we're going to have another rapid reaction on Sunday when we record that one. But I think it was a huge victory last Sunday versus the Chiefs. Looking towards the Cowboys, I don't think it's as quote-unquote important of a game as Kansas City's was, because you're facing an NFC team. But you can't lose this game if the teams in front of you, which there are a lot of 7-6 teams, we went over that on Monday's show, if you don't get help around the league. This isn't a must-win, but it's a very important game to continue the momentum forward and your outlook towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, taking a quick detour, I woke up on Monday and Tuesday. Sorry, woke up on Tuesday and saw that I had won the Battle of the Benches with my brother, and going into Monday, I had 2 Tennessee players, and I was like, all right, well, I definitely lost. I needed like 20 points from Spears and their tight end, and I was like, there's no way I'm getting that. And they ended up getting it, but I didn't actually look at the score of the game, didn't see what happened, and then someone at work was like, hey, did you see the Dolphins lost? And I was like, no, I did not see that. And then I didn't know the score at that point, and then I went and saw like one brief article without the score that just said, like, crazy Tennessee Titans comeback, here's how they did it kind of thing. So later on lunch, I watched the highlights, and the whole time I was like, where's this comeback? Like, it was in the fourth quarter, they were up 13-10, and I was like, all right, I still don't see how this is like an insane comeback. And then to see the way Tennessee won and bring it all back together, the Bills have a shot now at the AFC East. It's a slim shot, but I think that's what makes this game so important. I think at this point, if you're the Bills, you want to win out, obviously. That's you know, what you're going to want to do. But this game is that much more important now, because if you do win out, there's a chance that you can steal the AFC East back. And looking at the Dolphins' schedule like we did recently, they do have a few games, I think, Cowboys and Ravens themselves, that they could lose. And then seeing them lose somehow to Tennessee the way they did, it is possible that you find a way back into the AFC East and back into trying to win that division, not to mention just trying to stay alive in the wild card. So even though it's not a must-win, like you said, NFC team, it's still, to me, pretty much a must-win. Like, you don't want to slip up the rest of the season. And not only that, for the Bills' confidence level for the rest of the year. I mean, beating KC was huge. As you mentioned, we didn't give it enough credit. I really thought it was going to be a big offensive showdown, not only from Kansas City, but the Bills. I thought it was going to have to be on Allen to win that game. And even though he played well, it was pretty much on the defense somehow to win that game. And this one, I think, is going to be what I thought the other one was, which if the weather's nice, I think it's going to be an offensive shootout. The Cowboys have, I would say, the most legitimate offense that this weakened Bills defense has seen pretty much the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, Dak is playing at MVP levels right now. If anybody told you that before the season started, they would have just said the guy that led the league in interceptions last year, there's no way. But he's just playing unbelievable. He's the reason that I'm still alive in guillotine. And thank you, Dak Prescott. I love you right now. CeeDee Lamb, just incredible. He's probably one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. Brandon Cooks has come alive in the second half of the season. He's playing like a great wide receiver number 2. Micah Parsons on defense. He can single-handedly wreck a game. To benefit, Buffalo has struggled against the run game. And Tony Pollard, which your brother can attest to, because he has him in the important league we play in, he has not been playing very good at all this year. I think the Cowboys are realizing that they miss Ezekiel Elliott more than they thought they would, and I think we're all realizing that Zeke was so much more important to that team than anybody realized, and especially Tony Pollard, because I don't think he's able to handle the workload that he has been given and that has been thrust upon him. I think he's better in that 10 to 15 touch role rather than the 15 to 20 he's currently getting. But really, I said it on Talking Buffalo with Pat Moran, and I got done with that one right to see the end of the Tennessee game. My God, I don't know how Miami was able to do that. They simply just blew that game. It was great to watch. It was very comical. But yeah. The Cowboys don't seem like the Cowboys of past years. They seem like a legit team, which in my lifetime has not really been true. It's been the team that, finds a way to choke it in the biggest situations. They seem legit, and I think they have control, if not full control, of the NFC East and challenging San Francisco for the number 1 seed in that bye over in the NFC. So they're no slouch whatsoever. The benefit, they have to come to Buffalo in the rain, possibly the wind, and deal with those elements where this is why so many people in Western New York and so many people around the world and blah, 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 that say this is why you can't put a roof in Buffalo because of these situations. If this is the situation, Buffalo has to win this game because a team from the South is coming up north that is used to playing in a climate-controlled dome. This is the time to beat them. And again, I'm not saying it's a must-win, but if you want any possible shot of what Phil said of the AFC East, this is a must-win game because the Dolphins that we're going to go over in a minute here when we look around the league, they got the Jets this week. And yes, the Jets are the Jets, but I mean, Zach Wilson actually looked like a legit quarterback last week, and their defense is no joke. And Tua has struggled in those big-time moments, and it'll be a very interesting game. But the biggest thing, Phil, going into this one, there might not be any Micah Hyde, and A.J. Epinesa also seems doubtful. Kincaid was in a red practice jersey on Thursday, but Taron Johnson was back to full strength. So those 3 named players, Kincaid, Epinesa, and Hyde, would be big losses to this team when you face one of the toughest competitions you faced all year.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas is number 1 in the entire league in points per game this season with 32.4. They're 4th in yards per game with 381. The Bills are right behind them in yards per game with 378, but points per game, they're a little bit behind. Dallas is pretty far and away the number 1 team in points per game this year. And then, like you mentioned earlier, their differential in turnovers, they are at plus 10. The Bills are only at plus 2, and that a lot of it comes from Dak not throwing interceptions this year and them and their defense taking away a lot. So there's a lot of red flags in this game for sure. It's definitely one of the tougher teams the Bills have played. I know they just are going up against the tougher schedule right now with the Eagles and KC. So the Bills have been in both of those games, both extremely good teams. So, I mean, I think the Bills can do it. They have it in them, but it's absolutely going to be a big challenge. And then, like I was saying earlier, as far as the confidence to the team, like, this is your team pretty much going into playoffs if you make it, Super Bowl aspirations. Like, this is what you're looking at. Like you just mentioned, a few players banged up, but for the most part, this is going to be your lineup. And the Cowboys could be a Super Bowl contender, Super Bowl favorite right now. So if you're, going up against a team like this is a great measuring stick to where the Bills actually are with their current team, not what, we started the season with, not with any of the hopefuls. Like, this is what you could possibly see if, thinking way too far ahead, but hypothetically, if you get in a Bills-Cowboys Super Bowl, this is what you could see. So this is a great measuring stick for the Bills to see where their defense is, where their offense is. The Cowboys are great on both sides of the ball. So, even if, I don't want to say they lose, but even if you don't win, it has to be competitive. Like, if the Cowboys go in, blow you out, I think it's going to look really bad. Not to mention, like you said, the whole dome thing and playing in Buffalo with the weather, but it's just going to look, it's going to be a huge shot to the Bills right now if they were, barely lost to the Eagles, just beat Kansas City. If you go in and you lose a really close one to the Cowboys, you're like, all right, we're still okay, win out, and you have a shot at playoffs. But if you come in and the Cowboys just demolish you, you start, having those doubts creep in of, is this team really ready to make a true push through playoffs? So I think it's just a huge measuring stick game, not only one that you want to win, but also would really kind of need to if you want the AFC East and any hopes of that.
So what we've been doing towards the end of this season, and the first time we've had to do this because Buffalo has been in risk of not making the playoffs, we look around the league at what actually matters. There are 3 Saturday games, Phil. I'm still getting used to there being NFL on Saturday, and I'm not going to be able to watch most of them because we're looking at an open house. Then the NLL has some early 1 o'clock games. Let me scroll down, and I don't want to misquote who is playing. Albany versus Philly Saturday at 1 o'clock. And then we got the Bandits that we got to get a little bit early too because I heard that the whole house is going to be packed. So not much action I'm going to be able to watch, but there's going to be action nonetheless. The Vikings are going to Cincinnati, who are 7-6 Saturday at 1 o'clock. Obviously, you're rooting for the Nick Mullins-led Minnesota Vikings in that one. Steelers face the Colts. They're both 7-6 Saturday 4:30. I think you're hoping for a tie, even though I don't think that's going to happen. But really, if you're going to get help no matter what, one of them is falling to 7-7, the other one's going to move to 8-6 because the tie is very unlikely. So you are going to get a bit of help there. Broncos are heading to Detroit. Broncos are another 7-6 team. That's going to be a common theme here. That Saturday night game at 8:15, you're definitely rooting for the Lions and a bounce-back victory there. The Bears, they are going to Cleveland, 8-5. You're definitely rooting for Justin Fields and the Bears. I don't know how Joe Flacco is going to do under his new contract, but that's Saturday at 1 o'clock. Tennessee Titans, 7-6, are going to the Wonder Boys of the Titans. That 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Obviously, you're rooting for the Titans. Jets going to Miami, 9-4. Obviously, if you want the AFC East, you're rooting for the Jets. Kansas City, who are in jeopardy of losing their division as well, 8-5 going to New England. We were rooting for New England last week. They somehow defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers last Thursday night. Can they work a little bit more magic? Can Zappy zap the Colts or the Kansas City Chiefs a bit? And then Sunday night, 10-3 Ravens versus the 8-5 Jags. That one doesn't really matter much unless the Jags lose this one and the Colts win, because then that division is up for grabs as well. So a lot of games on the slate, a lot of 7-6 teams as we were expecting, and really you're going to get a little bit of help in that Steelers-Colts game no matter what. And that's one team that you can at least leapfrog guaranteed.
Yeah, and at least with a lot of these games, it's a little bit more obvious of who you're rooting for. I mean, the NFC versus AFC is pretty easy, and then even some of these other ones, there's not a lot of massive matchups where they're facing each other. Like you said, Steelers-Colts is a bit of a bummer because one of them is going to win, but at least at the same time, you get a little bit of help. But other than that, you're getting a lot of obvious who you want to win, who you want to lose, which is nice. Hopefully we just see some very interesting upsets kind of take place.
So, Phil, we will move on to the playoffs for Fantasy Blitz. Last week, one of us did really good and one of us did really bad. And I'm not going to say which is which, because if you've been listening to the show for the last 14 weeks, you know who did well. It was Phil. Isaiah Likely, who was ranked 58th. He finished third. I had Jalen Hyatt on a limb because I was hoping. He was ranked 89th and he finished 83rd. So a little bit positive, I guess. Why not? Week 15, we are into the fantasy football playoffs. I do not care if you're still in your regular season, because that means your season ends in week 18 and your league is stupid and pointless and doesn't actually really count. Yes, I fully mean that. I do not take that back. Leagues that finish in week 18, They're not real leagues, in my opinion. You're not a real champion, so go shove it. Phil, week 15, first week of the playoffs. A lot of people need some help. I'm included because I do not have Josh Jacobs, I do not have Alexander Madison, and I do not have Jonathan Taylor. So is there any player that I can go pick up that can help me beat my brother in round 1 of the playoffs?
You cannot, because I have this player on my team already, but he...
Drop him and I'll pick him up.
No. I doubt he's available. He was someone who's been slowly creeping up, kind of just through waivers and everything, but he might be available. There's a chance. Keaton Mitchell, I'm going back to the Ravens again. He is ranked 53rd on the season. Rookie for Baltimore, as I just mentioned. He's coming on a little bit strong toward the end of the season here. Gus Edwards, the last 2 weeks, their supposed lead running back, has been 6 carries for 15 yards last week, and then the week before that, right before their bye, he was 8 carries for 26 yards. Mitchell in both of those games was 9 carries in each, so he outtouched Edwards in the carry role, and he had 64 yards and 54 yards, as well as 3 catches for 33 through the air. I think in this game, the Ravens are going to want to run. They're a very run-heavy team, and Mitchell is an explosive player. If he can just find a way to break off 1 or 2 big runs, he's getting the opportunities. He's starting to eat into Gus Edwards' workload a little bit and become a little bit more of a feature. He's not going to see, 11 to 17 carries or anything like that, but if he can get in the 10-11 range in this game and just find 1 or 2 big catches, 1 or 2 big plays, I think he can be a top 20 running back in your fantasy playoffs.
And if you have Keaton Mitchell, start him, because Phil has been hitting this segment out of the park. I'm going a little bit more of a hopeful pick here because I have him in the Guillotine League, and there's 4 teams left, and I don't want to be eliminated 1 week before you start making money. I have Najee Harris over there. He's ranked 29th, and he is my pick this week. He has not been very good this year. 5 games in double-digit points, and he's played in all of them. Only 1 time of those times has he reached double digits without a touchdown. But here's the positives. This is why I'm confident in starting him over in Guillotine. Indy is one of the best matchups for running backs. Their pace of play is the highest, so there's going to be tons of opportunity. They're also starting Mitchell Trubisky. He's going to have to hand the ball off because Mitchell Trubisky is not a very good quarterback. Is there going to be opportunities for him to score? I hope so. I really do, because I think the only way that offense is going to be able to move up and down the field is through the running game. Even with more and more involved, I still think Harris can be and can provide solid returns. I don't think he's going to get in the 30s. He might not even get in the 20s, but I think in the high teens, he is very capable of doing. And for the Guillotine League, where I really want to win because this is the best I've ever done by far, please, Najee Harris, get in the end zone.
I'm excited to have a running back matchup between us.
It hasn't happened in a while.
No, we've been switching around positions all over the place. And, yeah, I mean, it's I feel like the new regime has used Harris pretty well.
A lot more, yep.
Yeah, they are trusting him a bit more. But like you said, Trubisky is interesting. I don't know if you saw... I don't even know if it's technically floating around, but there was a video that popped up on the reels of Trubisky and John Gruden and his QB, what was it, QB coaching corner, whatever it was, and he had Trubisky in. I think he was a rookie at the time, and he asked him to do a hard count, and he had no idea what it was, and he had to teach him right then and there what a hard count is. It's like, well, that's not great, but he's come a long way since being a rookie. I don't know if he's gone up or down, honestly, since the start of his career, but like you said, they're going to have to rely on Najee quite a bit, so hopefully he does well for you, because I'm long gone in Guillotine after Nick Chubb went down really early, kind of pretty much tanked the entire season.
Well, good luck to everybody in their fantasy playoffs, unless you're... my brother, I hope you stink and score the lowest score that's ever been scored in fantasy football, because I don't care. I do not care if you suffer. I want to beat you to move on and defend my title. So Phil will move on to the Buffalo Sabres here. 2 games to talk about. 1 good, 1 real bad. Monday versus the Coyotes, they won 5-2. Oposo, Robinson, Krebs, Paterka, and Dahlin were the goal scorers. Levi, 21 of 23 saves. Shots were 38-23 in favor of the Sabres. And then Wednesday versus Colorado. In Colorado, they lost 5-1. Benson was the only goal scorer. UPL, 24 of 29 saves. Shots were 30-29 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres. Phil, the other bit of news here is Jeff Skinner was put on the IR. So one step forward, 3 and 4, and maybe 10 steps backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting seeing Quinn skate around, but I really don't know. Have they said how close he actually is? Other than
I know he's a timeline yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's out of his non-contact, which is exciting, but still, I'm sure he's got a long way to go as he like kind of ramps up with no preseason, no true practices. So he looks really good already in some of the fun practice highlights they've shown of him, but I think he's still a little ways off. So this is not great. I mean, luckily you have some AHL talent down. Oh my gosh, you have some offensive talent down in the AHL that can be called up to help out, but Skinner is still a massive loss for this team. And as far as 2 games go, I mean, they were polar opposites of each other. It was exciting to see once again against Coyotes. The Sabres outshot them 13-5 in the first. So once again, they were doing really well in the first period for a long time until the Colorado game, which we'll get to in a second. But it was really good to see the fourth line and some depth scoring kind of take over that Coyotes game. And honestly, they looked like a much better team than the Coyotes the whole time, which is kind of what you would expect / hope. But they looked really good. The biggest negative of that one and the biggest negative to me of both games is still that they went 0 for 4 combined on the power play. I don't even know the last time they scored a power play goal. I was trying to look it up really quick before we started, and there's no really like game by game power play breakdown that I could find, but it seems like it's been quite a while since they've had any power play success whatsoever. But somehow they are not last in the league in power plays percentage, so I guess there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the first one, even though we kind of talked it to death on Talking Buffalo. Their fourth line was just absolutely incredible. Great feed from Clifton to Robinson, who was driving the net. Oposo got the rebound. Clifton's been much better of recent. Oposo's been much better since, I called him out and said he should go sit up in the bleachers. Ryan Johnson, in my opinion, even though he did get taken out in Colorado, he should never leave the lineup, and he should always be paired with Owen Power. He just has that calming presence on the ice where he's 99% of the time he's doing the right thing and getting the puck out of their own zone. There are still a handful of times, and he's a rookie, so that's expected, but I don't see how there are 6 better defensemen on this team than Ryan Johnson. And I understand in Colorado you're going to start Erik Johnson because that's where he spent the majority of his career. But now that that's over, Ryan Johnson should be in the lineup, and either Clifton, who I think has been playing much better, so I wouldn't pull him out, but Erik Johnson should be sitting up in the press box watching the games, at least for now on, because Ryan Johnson is just better, and Owen Power plays better when Ryan Johnson's his partner. Wednesday, it's what you'd expect from a struggling team facing a good team that is out west. They had a decent stretch in the second period, but other than that, they were just bad. Top players have not been performing. Colorado started the game with 19 straight shots. Then Buffalo had 15 straight. And guess what? Colorado scored on theirs. Buffalo scored 1. So this is the problem and that's the corrective thing that they did in Arizona, where they got out to the lead early. When this team has the lead, they play much different than when they're trying to catch up, because once they go down early, and they go down in a hurry. So that's the main thing, is you got to score in the first period, but your star players are not performing. Tuck and Cousins, at this point in the season, they have 11 goals, Phil. And I understand they've been in and out of the lineup. Tuck's been out Tage has been out longer than Cousins was out. But last year at this time, I believe they had 35 or 36 goals. That's a massive difference. You need guys like Tuck, who's back in the lineup now. Tage, Skinner's out, but when he was not in there, he wasn't consistent. You need Cousins especially to start scoring. All these players need to score on 5-on-5 and fix the power play. But basically, Dahlin and Middlestad and Peterka are the only ones that really have taken their game up a notch from last year. Everybody else has regressed a bit. And when a rookie in Zach Benson is one of the best top 6 players that you have, there is an issue with this team. And with Skinner going down, I'm terrified of what the rest of the season looks like, because if he misses an extended amount of time, they replaced him currently with Brett Murray. That's who is replacing Jeff Skinner. So his 7 minutes on the fourth line is going to add so much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, it's weird to say, but they don't really have a reason not to give Benson a shot on the top line. Like you just mentioned, he's looked like arguably one of your best, if not the best forward out there. I mean, Peterka's looked great as well. Middlestad's playing really good for his role. And I mean, I don't know who you would say personally, but I think Cousins has been the biggest letdown the entire season.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
I mean, he was massive last year. You even called his breakout last year. You said he was going to be great, and he was really going to take that next step, and he did. And this year, he's just completely disappeared, fallen off, and he looks terrible. I mean, he just looks really not good. It doesn't look anything like the player he was last year, and that's exactly who the Sabres need him to be. But like you said, I mean, two of the best players on the team right now, Ryan Johnson and Benson, who are incredibly young for both of them, but they look more composed and more talented than half the team. And I don't know. I mean, I know, like you said, you were going to lose that game most likely out west against Colorado. Colorado's just a better team, and my goodness, did they show it. But to put up the start you did and not even get a shot on net until I think it was, 122 left in the first, I think I have, and they actually scored on their first shot, which is ridiculous. But still, to go pretty much the entire first period without getting a single shot on net, like, that is just real bad. I mean, I knew they'd probably lose, but keeping it somewhat respectable would have been nice. But, yeah, I don't know. The power play, still terrible. And then Robinson, the new boy in town, he's actually been a little bit better than I think either you or I
think he's been a lot better than either of us expected.
Yeah, he's been much, much better. We had pretty much no hope whatsoever for him, and so far in his first 4 games, he has 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and is a +3 player. I think he's honestly off to a much, much better start than we expected. So I don't know if Adams actually knew what he was doing, or if Robinson's, change of scenery that they sometimes mention, which I don't know if that's actually a thing, but apparently it might be. So, I mean, if he can somehow keep this up or anything like it, I think he was surprisingly a decent trade. I mean, so far it's really early, so I'm not going to give him too much credit, but I mean, way. I mean, I think this is what you and I expected for him pretty much the rest of the season would be 3 points, and he's gotten it in his first 4 games. So credit where credit's due. He's doing much better than either you or I anticipated.
Yeah, I think Gergensen, when he gets back, I know he had a hiccup in his recovery that's going to set him back for a bit, but he might have a tough time getting back in the lineup if this is the Eric Robinson you get, because he's turned that fourth line into a legit decent fourth line with Oposo scoring now, and Krebs has looked really, really good offensively as well. And he's chipping in those dirty goals. He's getting to the dirty areas that a lot of players don't want to do. And he hits everybody, and he's really, really quick. So this is another reason why I'm sitting here and I'm not AGM in the NHL. But when you're looking at the standings, though, and we've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks, they're 4 points back of a wild card spot. But they're behind Capitals, who have that last wild card spot. They're behind the Devils, Hurricanes, Lightning, Pittsburgh, and the Canadiens. And they've played the most amount of games. So all those teams in front of you besides the Lightning have games in hand. And Devils have 3. Washington has 5. And the Senators behind you, who are 5 points behind you, they have 7 games in hand. So just because you're 4 games back, it's not about how many points back you are, which is important. It's how many teams you have to leapfrog to get those 4 points made up. So they got 2 more games out west. They got Vegas and Jack Eichel's shiny new ring Friday night tonight, who they got 45 points and they're leading the league right now. They're 25-5. So good luck with that one. And then you face the Coyotes one more time, but this time in their house. So good luck. Maybe you can steal at least 3 points. Maybe. I don't know. But this season's been really depressing, and that train just keeps hitting me and backing up and hitting me again and backing up and hitting me again, because it's been an ugly season so far, Phil, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I don't want to try to say that they're going to beat Vegas, but I mean, they have beaten, Boston and the Rangers, who also have pretty much no losses on the entire season. So it's slightly possible. Anything, I guess, is possible. I don't expect it by any means, but it's, the opportunity is kind of there, I guess, sort of ish.
But maybe. We will move on to a team that's known for winning, even though they haven't been known for winning this year yet. We'll move on to our the final segment here, the Buffalo Bandits. They're going to take up the majority of this episode here, because that's what we do around here, is we talk Buffalo Bandits lacrosse, because there's not many places that do, but we are one of them. Saturday, 7:30, home versus San Diego. Phil, the banner's going up. Everybody's excited for it. It sounds like a very near sellout I heard that the bottom bowl is almost fully sold out, and there's nice sections up in the 300s. So it's there's going to probably be at least 17,000 people there. So get there early. Banners going up at 7:15. Doors open at 6 p.m. So if you want any kind of parking, you're going to want to leave your house early. But last week, the team that we're be facing... Actually, let's talk about the banner first, Phil, because we called it. I don't know if we ever put it on the show.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we have
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think there's a record of it. But you and I both...
There is in our Facebook chat.
That is true. We do have, facts to back this up. We were trying to figure out what the giveaway would be because we knew there would be a giveaway. And we were thinking, could it be just like another towel? Would it be more like fancy pom-poms? And you and I were just going, I think it's going to be a replica banner. I really think it's going to be that's what it's going to be. Every single person in attendance is getting a mini replica banner. It's going right up on my Bandits wall in my basement. But this is a very exciting day, even though I'm not going to be able to see the banner because it's literally right above me and I'm not going to be able to see any of it. So my biggest question for you is, and you could talk about whatever banner stuff you want. Do you prefer them raising the banner, or do you prefer them just dropping the thing that covers the banner that's already up there? What's your thought on it? I think I know which way they're going to go, but which do you prefer?
That is a great question. Honestly, I'm thinking about it right now. I feel like I'm 50-50-ish on... I feel like the already up there big reveal is exciting. It's like one big moment, and then there it is. And then the slow banner raise, obviously, is a lot slower, so you have a lot more time. And I think the banner raise, to me, depends on if they have something going on the Jumbotron while it's going up.
Yes.
Like if they have some kind of highlight video or players talking about it or something, then that's fun. If it's just a black screen on the Jumbotron, music, and the banner very slowly going up, I mean, it gives the crowd time to cheer and really like kind of take it in, which is really nice because obviously, as we know, it doesn't happen all that often in Buffalo and doesn't happen for quite a long time for the Bandits. So I think that aspect of it is nice, the slow banner raise, because you really do get time to soak it in and, accept it and realize that your team won the championship last year, and it's a very exciting moment, and again, doesn't happen very often. So after kind of openly discussing it, and I think I'm going to lean toward the slow banner raise. I mean, I think the quick drop is exciting, but I think the slow banner raise really gives you time to soak it all in, and that, you are, for another year, the champion of the NLL.
Yeah, I also agree with everything that you said about if they're doing the slow banner raise, which I am in the belief, I have no inside source about any of this, but I'm in the full belief that it's already up there and they're just going to pull a sheet down and then it's going to be there. That's what I'm anticipating happening. But I am in favor of the slow raise and just playing, something in the background of the Jumbotron of like the last minutes and then everything that happened after. And if you want to throw in some, talking points from some of the players talking about what it means to Buffalo and all those kind of things. And even if you want to talk to some fans and have some kind of video playing, I know there's probably going to be some kind of video, but if you could play some type of video as it's raising instead of just like elevator music when it's raising. But I fully don't expect that to happen. I fully expect it to already be up there, and for me not to be able to see it because I'm in 115. You're in 117, right? So I'm in 115.
Yeah, I got a tough angle as well.
Yeah, I might be on the Jumbotron, but I ain't going to be able to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked it up real quick. The banner for Bandit Land where they like relived the entire championship series. Like if you just took snippets of that, like you said, like
right.
Winning the end of every single game, winning every single one, or even if it's just the dying seconds of winning the championship, like that last where McKay had the ball and he was just letting the time run out, like that little bit, and then maybe some quotes of what the players said and like what it meant, just a little something. Elevator music would be hilarious though. Just really calm, light jazz would be quite funny. I do agree with you. I think they are just gonna kind of do the sheet. I don't know. I think I would prefer the slow banner raise, but the sheet's fine. I mean, as long as it's up in the Rafters Forever, which it will be. I'm excited to see what they do and what they come up with, but it sounds like they got some good things in the works, and it sounds like they are taking this very seriously as far as the presentation goes. So I'm excited to see what they end up with.
Yeah, because, I mean, it might be another 15 years until they do it again.
Oh, hey, that's not...
I had to. It was right there. I had to. You served it up. I had to spike it back. But, yeah, let's go over the team that they're going to be facing right now in the San Diego Seals. Last week, they took down the Calgary Roughnecks 12-9. I believe you and I picked that right in the BSC picks. I believe you and I both had San Diego. I think Pat took the Roughnecks. So, haha, suck it. They scored 9 of the last 12 goals against Calgary, so it was similar to what happened in Calgary's Week 1, where they lost to Rochester. They also had a 5-minute major, Phil. And you would think Calgary would score on the 5-minute power play they had. Nope, it was San Diego. They scored 2 shorthanded goals, both of them from Austin Stotts. Their penalty kills really, really good. But last year, Buffalo won in San Diego 7-6 on Steve Priolo's overtime goal. That was that late game that I believe it was St. Patrick's Day party that you had, that we ordered pizza and then everybody made me stay, and then it was a 7-6 game, and whoopee fun. But gone are the days of Kevin Crowley, Mac O'Keefe, Brody Merrill, Frank Scigliano. They're gone. They're out the door. O'Keefe's on the holdout. Crowley's in Vancouver. Merrill's retired, and Frank Scigliano, he is out in Saskatchewan. In are Kyle Jackson and Trevor Baptiste in the offseason trades. Phil, this team looks very different. And from watching them, they were the last game that I did watch on Wednesday, I think it was. Their offense is really, really good. They shook off the rust after the first half, and the second half, they were really good.
Yeah, I mean, this offense is legit. It's kind of what keeps San Diego going. I don't think their goaltender is amazing. He's okay. I'm not going to say growing. He's terrible, but he's more of a work in progress to me than he is a solidified goalie. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. There's a few that are at the top for a reason, and I don't think San Diego really has one right now. I think he's doing fine, but I don't think he's one of the elites. But their offense is absolutely what has been very impressive and special about this team for quite a long time. I mean, up and down this lineup, like you just mentioned. I mean, Westberg, Dixon, Leclerc, Doby, oh my gosh, Kyle Jackson, Austin Stotts, all of them, like all 6 of them are lethal and can pretty much score at any time, and they're all very scary. I know Jackson, they said it was his first goal since, 2022 early?
Yeah, he was 2 years removed, I believe it was.
Yeah, so 21? Maybe it was 20. It might have been even 2020. It was a long time, but he finally got his first goal in his first game back in a really long time. So, I mean, to see even him already back on the scoreboard. But like we said, Stotts with 75 points, Doby with 101, Leclerc had a really good season, Dixon with 100, and Berg with 109. I mean, just their offense is loaded. That is what they are. They're a very top-heavy team. Watching that game last week, though, I don't know what is going on with my boy, but he did not look very good. Del Bianco, I don't know. He looked bad.
Really? I had a different thought of that one.
I thought Del Bianco did not look great. The goals he let in from the restraining line where Stotts
that one was bad. Yeah, that one was bad.
There were 2 or 3 that Stotts had with 1 second left on the shot clock where he's just unloading from incredibly far out that are just very un-Christian Del Bianco like to let in. I mean, he had a lot of long goals let in, which I thought was interesting. I mean, they ended up with, I had no intermediate goals. They had 7 goals in tight, which was extremely good for the offense. Nothing really Del Bianco could do on all of them. They had a lot of give and goes. They have a very fast moving, fast paced, fast passing offense, but they had 5 goals that were pretty far out that, again, to me, Del Bianco just doesn't seem like he's someone that's used to letting those in. And like you just kind of mentioned with your own reaction, some of those Stotts goals from way out and really awkward angles, I didn't really know what he was doing. I mean, it happens for sure. It happens to everybody, but he let multiples happen to him in one game. I thought it was a little strange to see Del Bianco a little bit off his game.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Del Bianco much, but yeah, I thought he had rough moments, but I don't think he played bad. I actually thought he was one of the ones that was keeping him in. And Calgary for the last 2 weeks, they've been allowing too much one on O's versus Del Bianco, and he can bail you
That's very
out
fair.
countless times, but eventually their talent in the NLL is going to get one by you, even if you're the MVP and the goaltender of the year. But
Yep.
looking forward to the Seals here. They had three players over 100 points last year. You mentioned them. Westberg led the way. Curtis Dixon had 100, and then Dane Doby had 101. But Austin Stotts this year, I think he's actually going to be one of the teams. Yeah, I think he's going to lead the team in goals. I don't know if he's going to be able to have the assist to back it up because, Westberg and Curtis Dixon are assist machines, but I think he's going to benefit from that a ton. And he had 37 goals last year. Game 1, he had 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points, and 13 shots, and 2 of them were shorthanded. He is filthy on the penalty kill and just killing the clock. Like I mentioned, they had a 5-minute penalty kill to kill off, and they did, and they scored 2 goals. But really, Trey LeClaire, he went from a forward back to a transition role last year, and he's back to a forward this year. He's a big-bodied, big-type defender, or a big-bodied forward up there, number 33, and he's going to be playing havoc on the defense for the Buffalo Bandits. So hopefully the Buffalo Bandits use this week to study game tape, figure out what Albany did to them, address some major issues that we saw in game 1, because this is not a good follow-up to a younger team in Albany that just put up 17 on you, and you're facing a team with Berg, Dixon, LeClaire, Doby, Jackson, and Stotts. Those names alone strike fear in anybody, but especially after a rougher game 1. Again, we're not overreacting to one game. It's going to happen. It happened last year, not this bad, but it did happen last year. But this offense is really good on both sides. I mean, even if you just take out like LeClaire and Jackson, the righties have Berg and Dixon, and the lefties have Doby and Stotts. This offense can compete with the Buffalo Bandits, in my opinion. It's just it's one of those times where, since it's unified standings, this is going to be, if I wasn't a fan of the Buffalo Bandits and just a fan of lacrosse, which I am, so you take off your biased hat and just look at this is a must-watch matchup, just not even because of the banner raising and all those small details in it, just two really, really good teams going at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And LeClaire had a few goals in tight, which is something you're going to have to watch with him, especially being the big body. He can kind of box out and get in close, which is something he's going to be a little bit scary. But back to Stotts for just a second. He had 13 shots, like you mentioned. The next highest was 7. So he's absolutely shooting the ball. He's the one that I think the Bandits are going to kind of want to key on. Like, if Priolo has to be on someone in this game, I think it's going to be him, because even just the shots alone, 4 goals on 13 shots is really impressive, but the shots alone, he's clearly willing to just let it unleash, and I think he's going to be the one that you're going to kind of want to target out of all of them, at least early on in the game, to see if you can shut him down and then work on the rest of them from there. But their offense is incredible, scary, and like you said, I think it's going to have to be a big bounce back game for the defense. I think it'll be interesting to see if Carter McKenzie gets the start in this one. He's a bigger defender as well, and he did fine last year, so it's going to be interesting to see if he is the one that kind of steps in. And then Matt Vince is just going to have to really clamp it down and be back to vintage Matt Vince.
Yeah, we'll put it out, but when they release their injury reports, the Buffalo Bandits haven't done anything with Justin Robinson just yet, but they look like a very painful injury. We have no idea what it is. It was his shoulder, is what was reported, his left shoulder, but they haven't made any moves officially yet. So they usually would do that on Friday, so stay tuned for that one, because, again, we're recording this Thursday night. But there was another injury for San Diego. Drew Belgrave, he went to the IR, so he will not be playing, but Jerry Stotts got promoted. I don't think he's going to be playing in this one. He is Austin Stotts' brother, I think. I think it's him, Randy, and Austin are the siblings. But for the rest of the defense of the transition game, Trevor Baptiste is over here. He had 9 loose balls, 1 caused turnover, and went 20 for 27 in the faceoff dot. He's going to be an interesting one to watch, because as many faceoffs as he won versus Calgary did a very, very good job of limiting the damage that he could do on those winning faceoffs. I think it was Zach Currier was taking the faceoffs, and he was losing them on purpose, but as soon as that Baptiste went to flip it from his clamp into his stick, Currier was all over him. So he was not letting them set that offense right off the faceoff. So hopefully Buffalo can do something like that. Cam Holding is also back there. Danny Logan, who was off a really good rookie year, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points, 98 loose balls, and 24 caused turnovers. He's good back there. Peyton Ranzika, he is a rookie, but he played a very, very good game in week 1. I know the numbers don't back it up with just 1 assist and 4 loose balls, but he was all over the field. Patrick Shumay, he's coming off another good season last year, 96 loose balls and 18 caused turnovers. But the biggest accusation, how would you pronounce it?
Acquisition.
I can't do it, Phil. That's it. Thank you. I'm not even going to try. Kyle Rubish comes over in a trade from Saskatchewan. 7 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers in the game 1, but he had 123 loose balls in the season last year and 31 caused turnovers. So they have a bunch of guys back there that can get the ball turned over and get it to that lethal offense.
Yeah, Rubish is the one that hurts the most. Like him a lot, wanted him, heard the Bandits were possibly in on trying to get him, so it hurts that he is on a different team in general, but he is incredible. He's an extreme leader on that defense. He's going to be pretty much their version of Priolo. He's their captain of their defense. 31 caused turnovers and 123 loose balls last year, and then even led the loose balls and caused turnovers in game 1 for his defense. So he is like you mentioned, he's a major acquisition for this team. He is one of the best in the entire league. So for them to add that to their back end is incredible. And then, like you mentioned, Logan is another one to kind of keep an eye on. He's a very good defender. And then the rookie, and then Shumay with 12 loose balls from last week, led the entire team. So they definitely have some pretty solid defenders. Baptiste, as far as faceoffs go, I do wonder, like we mentioned on the last show, I wonder if they're going to let McKay roll out a little bit more. I mean, he would seem to be a little bit more successful as far as faceoffs go, but even if he does lose them, I think it's great having him run back to defense and immediately get ready to play defense versus Fraser, who has to run off the field and then allow a defender to get back on there, or he's trapped on defense himself. So I think it'd be nice to see McKay take the majority of the faceoffs just to see how McKay can do. And again, if he loses them, at least he's already back on defense and he's ready to roll. So it'll be interesting to see not only that, but against another really good faceoff guy, similar to what Adler had to go through when he first joined the entire league. I wonder if the Bandits will kind of revert back to their automatic losing ways where you false start, and then in order to restart it, you have to wait for the referee whistle. So it gives the Bandits a little bit of a breather to set up, and then also you can just kind of have your defense out there and ready to roll. So it'll be interesting to see just kind of how they develop their face-off strategy throughout the year.
Yeah, Frazier went 4 for 11, and Ian McKay went 6 for 20 in game 1. So Frazier actually did better than I thought he did, and Ian McKay took a lot more face-offs than I thought he did. So after looking over the numbers, I might have been a little wrong there. But goalie, the guy that we were talking about, Chris Orgaleri, he is coming into his 3rd season, I believe he is, but his first time as the go-to man. 9 goals allowed and 35 saves in game 1, just under 400 minutes last year. We went 4-2 with a 10.36 goals against and a 77 save percentage. He is a bigger goalie. He is just shy of 21, the age of 21, not the number. Well, I guess it is a number, but his age of 21. But he doesn't have that experience that, Chiliano had when he was the man between the pipes here. But he is more athletic, and he was short of making a couple really, really nice saves against Calgary. I was much more impressed with his play than I thought he was going to. In my first, power rankings, I was a little tentative and worried about, throwing a 20-year-old to lead a team that's ready for titles. And it seems like he is up for the task, at least after game 1. It doesn't seem like the moments are too big for him yet. But with a veteran-savvy team and a team that has been, together for the last, 3-4 years in Buffalo Bandits, it'll be interesting to see if they can use that more, veteran style to get to a more inexperienced goaltender in Rigger.
Yeah, I think he's the choice for them over Chiliano in general. I think it was the right move for their organization to make.
Agreed.
And I think throughout the year he will continue to grow. And I think if they make playoffs, he by then should be good enough to lead them somewhere. But like you mentioned, I mean, having to go away to Buffalo as a West Coast team, having to go all the way to Buffalo, and then you're playing while they're raising the banner and the fans are going to be crazy. It'll be interesting to see if the Bandits can get on him early and often and try to just throw him off his game. He's, like you mentioned, very young, so I do wonder if he will be kind of easy in a way to rattle. I mean, goalies often are in their own little worlds, but I do wonder if someone like that is going to be a little bit easier to rattle than a different goalie. But I don't know. I think he'll have some inexperience issues in a game like this where I think you can kind of exploit it and take advantage of it. But I think he'll still be, he's not going to be a nobody. He's not terrible by any means. You're not going to be able to put up, a ton of goals just because he's playing poorly. I think he's good enough by, what we've seen and with Rubish back there to do a good job against the Bandits offense. But I think at the same time, there will be holes. There will be ways to get to him. And again, I think if you can get up on him early and kind of just rattle him in that environment, I think that's kind of going to be one of the keys of the game.
Yeah, you mentioned environment. It'll be interesting to see how he responds to 16, 17, 18,000 fans in front of him, especially when people start chanting. It'll be interesting to see how a 20-year-old, going to be 21 years old next week, I think it was when I looked it up. I think he's December 20th. Don't ask me why I know this, Phil. I did look it up, though. Now it's just
December 19th, by the way.
Oh, 19th. I was close. I was very close. But it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds. But this is a team that's looking to lock you down defensively. They're going to be looking to use the full shot clock on offense to limit your opportunities. Like we mentioned over and over, their offense is lethal. They only had 3 goals in the first half, and then they run on a 93 run to shut down Calgary and take that win. They shut them out in the fourth quarter. Rigger had a very, very good fourth quarter. But they're shorthanded. When they go on the penalty kill, you better make sure when you have 5 and they have 4, you put 2 guys on Austin Stotts because he was unbelievable in that first game. But Phil went over the players, went over what we thought this game's going to look like. What is your prediction for this game, home game, home opener, banner raising night? What's your thought on the score prediction for Buffalo v. San Diego?
I think it's going to be very close. We were both ridiculously wrong about Albany. I think most people would have been, though. I don't think too many people were calling for Albany to win that game.
I think a lot of people lost parlays on that game.
Yeah, I would expect. We did kind of lock in Buffalo winning that game, and I also would have just kind of slammed it. So this one, though, I do think it'll be a victory for Buffalo. I have it 13-11, much closer, kind of that average-ish NLL score, but I think it'll be a little bit more high scoring than low scoring, but I think it'll be a really, really close game throughout the entire game, but I think the Bandits are going to squeak it out.
Well, we're back to our normal ways. We're off by 1. I have them winning 12-11.
I like it. I was thinking 12-11 too, but I don't know, 13 sounded better.
They were close. We've only done it once, Phil. And they ended up winning that one 14-5 versus Toronto.
I'm sure neither of us predicted that.
No, still only one prediction that's been right. But Phil, it is everybody's favorite moment of the show, the milestone moment. I did really good last week, so there's more to read this time, and I'm looking at this list. I'm a little nervous. So here we go for the possible milestones that might happen on Saturday night. And away we go. When Matt Vince plays on Saturday, he will pass Sean Evans for 5th place in NLL history in games played with 271. Steve Perillo is still 1 point away from 200 for his NLL career. Nick Weiss is 4 penalty minutes away from 200 for his NLL career. Matt Vince is 1 win away from 50 for his Buffalo Bandits career. Matt Vince is 48 saves away from passing Steve Dietrich for 2nd place in Bandits history with 2,749. John Tavares is 1 win away from 50 for his Buffalo Bandits coaching career. When Nick Weiss plays on Saturday, he will tie Kyle Cooling for 9th place in Buffalo Bandits history in 113 games played. Josh Byrne is 3 goals away from passing Ryan Benesh for 5th place in Buffalo Bandits history. Chase Frazier is 2 goals away from passing Troy Cordonley for 10th place in Buffalo Bandits history and 4 away from tying Sean Williams for 9th. Sorry, I said Evans earlier in the show, and that's why it confused me. Josh Byrne is 9 points away from tying Micah Kersey for 4th place in Buffalo Bandits history with 370 points. Matt Spanger is 1 cost turnover away from tying Alex Hill for 6th place Buffalo Bandits history. Ian McKay is 2 cost turnovers away from tying Alex Hill for 6th place in Buffalo Bandits history. Both of those would be interesting because then one of them would be in 7th place. Boom. Ian McKay is 1 block shot away from tying Ethan O'Connor for 3rd place in Buffalo Bandits history. And the final one, Chase Frazier is 8 face-off attempts away from tying Rob Kirkby for 9th place Buffalo Bandits history. I know I stuttered a little bit, but I got through it.
Not bad. Not bad. And even your stutters, you covered pretty nicely.
Fought through it. I've been doing this for 3 years now, Phil. Don't try me.
Fraser being only 8 face-off attempts away from, he already is 10th, but being top 10, inside the top 10
right
for Bandits history. Pretty crazy. I know for a while there the Bandits didn't have anyone to really take him, but to think that he's taken that many for the Bandits seems unlikely. If you just kind of told me if I thought he would be in top 10, I would say no, but it's pretty crazy that he's that high already in Bandits history for that.
I can actually pull it up really quick if you want to know why he's up there. Here we go. Pulling it up. This is great for
and
audio
Steve
listeners.
Priolo being 1 point away for 200. I know he's defense, but to think that Dane Smith gets that more than that in 2 seasons is funny.
I'll put it like this. Max Adler played in 27 games.
Okay.
He is 5th place with 702.
So the Bandits just don't take face-offs is really what it is.
Yeah, it helps when Jay Thornberg.
I would say Thornberg was like their guy for years and years.
2,204 face-off attempts, and then Rich Kilgore has 1,052. So, yeah. When you exclude those 2 guys, the next closest is 780 in Corey Bomberry. Brandon Francis, 742. Max Adler's there at 702. Nick Weiss earlier has 545. So, Chase Frazier is chasing him by 100.
So basically they had 2 face-off guys and their entire history, and that's been it.
Pretty much, because Chase Frazier only has 445, and he's already top 10. So there's that for you.
I like it.
But our last topic here, we're going to look around the league because, again, unified standings, we're going to do this all year long. If you want to stay up for a West Coast game Friday night, 10 p.m., Saskatchewan is heading to Las Vegas. 1-1 Vegas, 0-2 Saskatchewan Rush. They're going to face off. That should be a good game. The 2-0 Albany Firewolves are going to Philly, who just lost Blaze Reardon and Holden Catoni for 4 to 6 weeks, I think, both of them. Saturday at 1 p.m. That's going to be a fun game to watch. I think I'm going to be able to actually watch that one before the Bandits game. Halifax versus New York, same time as the Buffalo Bandits game, 7:30. And then Georgia, out there, fresh victory, 16-10 versus Colorado. They are traveling to Vancouver, fresh off their Week 1 loss, and bye in Week 2, Saturday, 10 p.m. Some good games on slate, and I'm happy there's only 5 of them to watch.
I know it's not the Bandits, so we don't care as much, but poor Philly, my goodness, is that a massive, massive blow to that team. To lose 2 of those players, I know the Bandits dealt with an insane amount of offensive injuries last year, so we've been there, we've seen it, and I think the Bandits probably had pretty similar, equal, losing Byrne and everybody else and Cloutier for so long. We get it, but still, losing both of those guys this early in the season for that amount of time is brutal for that team.
Yeah, it's not ideal at all. But, Phil, that pretty much wraps up this show, right around the hour mark. We're fully healthy, and we're doing exactly where we wanted to end it. But is there anything else you want to add to this show before we shut it down and get ready for another long weekend of NLL lacrosse, but especially Bandits banner-raising ceremony? That's why I'm wearing my jersey tonight.
I did not wear a jersey, but I am excited for the banner. I wore the Bandits gear last time they lost, so I'm already diving into superstitions, and didn't want to risk it.
That's what I did last year.
Didn't want to risk it with the superstitions and the banner raising, but I think the interesting thing for this team, especially in this game, is going to be just scoring really, really early. I think after the banner raising, there's going to be a lot of emotion and everything around the banner raising, but it's also, I hate to say it, but a little bit nostalgic already. It was last season, so I think just getting that kind of behind you and the excitement of the ceremony and everything, I think starting off hot in this game is going to be really big to not only keep the momentum of the crowd, but also to just get yourselves locked into the game. Not saying that they can't get focused after the ceremony and everything, they will, but still it's going to be a lot of emotion watching that go up and everything. And then having to dial in and kind of like focus on this game, focus on the season. I feel like they just need one early to really get locked into the game, and it's gonna be exciting, and cannot wait to be back in Banditland.
Yeah, that first 10, 15 minutes of game action, I think is going to
be clutch.
A big tell of how the rest of the game's going to go. Hopefully it's a bit different than the Albany game, and I know a bunch of the players mentioned it, that they're expecting to get everybody's best and to test them all year long, not just on the scoreboard, but mentally and physically on the field too. So hopefully they don't lose their cool and they can keep it, don't play their style of game that they want you to play. Play your own, and you're going to be able to walk out of this game as a champion and a winner, in my opinion. I think they can do that if they play their style of game, because honestly, I think they can, and it's shown, they can beat anybody in this league as long as they play their style of lacrosse. I think they went away from that in Albany game, and I think that is why you lost 17-13. So if they're able to do that, but again, the first quarter is going to be a big tell task, and that's a lot of T's on what the game's going to be like. So, yeah, if they can handle their emotion after the banner's going up, I think they got a good shot at defeating the Seals. But we will be in attendance. I'm in 115, Phil's in 117, so come say hi. We're in the last row. There you go. But, I've met a handful of people that like the show, so not afraid to say hi. Then go back to your seats. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. We'll be back on Monday to break down the Bills game, some more Sabres games, and of course the Buffalo Bandits versus the Seals game. I will be on Daily Dive on Monday, I believe, as long as he didn't cancel on me. I believe I'm still on that show. So check that out on Monday live, I think at 1 o'clock, around there. But, there you go. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, bye-bye.